where do I start? Seriously, where do I start? This was quite a good episode, Patriot. The return of Arthur Curry with his gorgeous wife Mira. Damn, did you see the cleavage on that woman? Hello. Yeah, that was a quick turnaround for him to actually find a missus. I was actually quite surprised. No explanation as to how they met, where she came from, but it sounds like she's come from like the proper world of Atlantis of some sort anyway, because she was calling Arthur by his like descendant name, or his origin name, Orin, as opposed to Arthur Curry, and that pretty much said to me that this particular Mira is of, she kind of speaks in ancient times kind of thing anyway. But that aside, this episode is veering more towards the whole Vigilante Registration Act. It sees the introduction of Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. My disappointment with that is the guy that they cast as Deathstroke being a near on 70-year-old man. Not saying that the character Slade isn't old as well. He is old, but he's probably more in his 50s. Well, I'd say he's in his 50s, but he's I don't know, he's more hardcore than what this actor Michael Hogan portrayed him as. For one, he's got a lot more hair than what Mr. Hogan has. No disrespect to the actor, but I'm sorry, but Deathstroke, Slade Wilson, has a lot more hair than what he has. Anyway, as the episode progresses, we then find that Oliver decides to sign himself up. Well, before Oliver does anyway, Clark wants to sign himself up for the Registration Act to stop the government from bringing out the heroes and stuff, and he wants to protect everybody. But Oliver says, look, I'm the one that's already revealed my identity to everybody, so let me do it instead. Having no idea as to what's involved, Lois finally does some reporting duties. She has an interview with Slade Wilson, unbeknownst to him anyway, that she was investigating what's really going on. We find out that there's a bunch of oil rigs dotted around the ocean, and they're not just oil rigs, they're actually prison facilities to hold the vigilantes and the heroes, in particular Clark as well. As I say, as the episode progresses, we find that Lois doesn't even know of Clark helping out AC, and she's kept in the dark, and that becomes a big factor towards the end of the episode. The whole Clark hiding that sort of information from Lois, she doesn't like that, but it comes to a head towards the end. I've still got to go back to Tess as well, because she's still in charge of Watchtower. She's still in charge of the Daily Planet, and when Oliver and Slade both did the whole Registration Act in front of the press, there's Lois saying, look, they realised what the danger was, what was really happening regarding the registration, and here's Lois telling Tess that she's got to do something, and then she's like, well, there's nothing that she can do to stop them, kind of thing. But in the end, as I say, we find out that in actual fact that Slade has actually been waiting for the likes of Arthur Curry to arrive, because he's pretty much anticipated their attack and their intent to bring down their facilities. It really, this episode was quite compelling for me, because certain aspects I almost did feel like I was reading a comic book in some way, especially towards the end, when Clark gave his speech to Lois, Tess and Oliver, which, by the way, before I even get to that, how interesting is it that Lois has now seen Watchtower? I don't think it's a bad thing. At first I was like, should she really be seeing Watchtower? But Clark made sure, wanted her to be an active part of his life, which in turn for Clark is really good, because Mira was basically telling Lois that, look, you're a woman who seems to want to go for men of a higher purpose. First it was Arthur, then it was Oliver, and now it's Clark. you know. So there was a bit of confrontation between Mira and Lois to begin with, but later on, Mira then, you know, changes her view about Lois and realizes that Lois is in fact, you know, she sees that Lois is Clark's equal, even though he's the one with superpowers. So Mira pretty much was telling Lois that, yeah, you're the one for him. And I thought to myself, I said, that's exactly what she is. She is the one for Clark, and you know, it is right that Clark needs to let her in a bit more and let her know what is going on. Yes, he won't say everything because he has to protect her and everything. So there's that anyway. But as I say, the speech that he gives at the end, he pretty much lays it on thick, and this is where it got me excited. The first thing that popped into my head was the comic books that I've read titled Final Crisis, about how the darkness will take over people without them even knowing. And Lois basically said that we'll end up, you know, the weakness that it'll exploit the weakness within ourselves, and we'll end up having to take up, you know, turning on each other. Which, if you've read Final Crisis, is exactly what happens. That is exactly what Darkseid and his minions do. They cause for, you know, for Darkseid's quest for the anti-life equation basically causes for everybody on Earth to turn against each other and to make them become slaves of Darkseid before he's even arrived on Earth. And it really is, I just kept thinking Final Crisis, Final Crisis, Final Crisis all the time, especially when Clark had a revelation when he got trapped by Deathstroke. I'm not even going to call him Deathstroke, I'll call him Slade Wilson. He got trapped by Slade Wilson, and here's Slade basically telling him that I don't care if the bomb's about to go, if the rig is about to blow, I'm more than happy to die as long as I'm not saved by you. You know, he was calling him an abomination of a creature or something like that, because he didn't want to be rescued by Clark, whereas Clark was telling him that he wants to be rescued. The interesting thing is, that place blew up. Clark does a scan, he sees through Slade's body, and this is where he does the speech towards the end, and then he realises what he's seen. Right, he realised what he's seen imprinted on Slade's skull, and I'm thinking, shit, where did that come from? But then the interesting thing for me was, what happened afterwards? How did Clark escape? Because the place blows up, and there's Clark all right, and then we see a nice little reveal of what happens to Slade Wilson at the very end of the episode, and I'm thinking, So yeah, it was quite a very, very interesting episode, I thought. For me, there were the good points were Arthur Curry and his wife Mira. I'm sorry, but that cleavage was damn, and the way she just undressed in front of Lois. Oh, I wish I was standing where Lois was standing there. That would have been awesome. Anyway, yeah. So Arthur Curry was back. Mira was present. The introduction of Slade Wilson. Again, I'm still not too. Yeah, I wish they would have picked someone more younger and rugged kind of thing, because I know that Slade is old in the comics, but he's older now in Smallville than he's supposed to be in the comics, and many characters that we've had so far have all appeared to be younger, and yet Slade is like already in his 50s, so by the time Clark becomes Superman and everything else and happens, and you were to move forward in time 20 years, he'll be 70. He'll end up having a Zimmer frame if he's not using one now. So yeah, it kind of throws it all out of proportion. But anyway, still I thought it was a good episode. But what about the preview for Luthor? Damn, I don't want to get too excited about Luthor, but Clark Luthor, raised by Lionel Luthor. Did you see the little beginning though, where he says, "I just woke up in like as if I was in a dream." It's two women by either side of him. I'm thinking, damn, dude. Hello. You want to enjoy that moment is all I'm going to say. But no, seriously, yeah, it was a good episode. Patriot, brilliant. Certain parts were still a bit and it's not the close bits. There were certain things that were still unexplained, like when Dr. Emil Hamilton turns around to Clark and says, visiting your cousin without people knowing. Obviously we didn't know he was still seeing Kara. But where is she these days? You know, what is Kara actually doing? We know that she's got her secret identity as Linda Danvers, but where is she? What is she doing? who knows. But I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all for watching, and I guess I'll see you next week for Luther. Alternate reality, alternate universe. Damn, can't wait. Anyway, see you later. Good night.